Hello, folks. Once again, here from the podcast studio. I'm Bob Kitchen, the owner of Maple Hill, and you're listening to the official podcast, the Hill Unscripted. Every 2 weeks, I bring you real talk from inside the golf world, insights, stories, conversations that matter to you as a golfer and a valued member of the Maple Hill extended family. So, welcome back, folks. Glad to have you back. I want to talk about the golf from the John Deere, because I actually got to catch the end of this. The Open's going on now. I want to talk about that later on. There'll be plenty to talk about with the Open, but I want to talk about the John Deere because I caught the end of that. It was right after the 4th of July weekend, Sunday. It was a beautiful day, and I was worn out from the 4th of July, and that ending was just awesome. If anybody got to see that with Grillo and Chapman, I think was the guy's name that won it, and then the kid Lipsky or something like that, who eagled 17 and then ended up botching his drive on 18 and bogeying 18. And it just shows you how hard it is, folks. Like, just every little thing matters. It's just so difficult. I've said it 100,000 times. Golf is just so hard. But I think that there's been one good tournament after another. And we'll see how the Open finishes up and how this ends. But I've been really excited to watch golf lately. On Sundays, I kind of sit on my couch and enjoy the last. I try to catch the back nine. I think that's the most interesting, like coming right down to the wire and watching them win or see how they win or how it all unfolds. And the playoff is always fun. And I didn't really like that. He hit it over the green, Grillo did on his second shot, and he tried hitting a flop shot back onto the green and hit on the fringe, and he left his putt short. Like, the playoff itself was uneventful, but the actual tournament and how these guys played was really good. So I hope you guys have been watching some golf and enjoying some golf, because I certainly have been. So I got a few subjects here I want to talk about, and then I got a really cool one from the mailbag that I want to dive into, because some questions require a little longer explanation or answer than others. So here's one that I want to talk about, because I get this every day. Of course, I sell golf clubs all day long, every day. That's kind of my main job here at Maple Hill, is to sell hard goods, clubs in particular. I sell balls and shoes and bags and apparel and glasses and hats if necessary, but I golf clubs is my passion. I love it. So how many options do we really need? So I was discussing this with Dub, one of our main fitters, this morning, and he was like, oh, that new Callaway X-Forged iron, there's a lot of buzz on that online, and the X-Forged Max, and what is it like, and what does it compare to, and what's it look like? And because we had the samples in here from our sales rep when I shot that video, which you might have seen on TikTok or whatever. How many options do we really need? So I used to say way back in the day that all we needed to sell was Mizuno and Ping, and that covered every single golfer under the sun. And I think now all we need to do is sell any brand, and it covers every golfer under the sun. Pick it Callaway, pick it TaylorMade, pick it Mizuno, pick it Cobra, whatever, Wilson, whatever brand you want to discuss, because these companies have gotten so diverse in their offerings that it's insane, and it's very hard for the consumer to decipher what's what and what goes against what, and like, what should I get? Should I get the new Titleist T250s, or should I get Mizuno 925 forged, or should I get Mizuno 245s, or what should I get? Those are all kind of the same club. They really are. Like, you're going to have a slight preference on one over the other when you hit them, maybe. If you can't tell the difference, let your heart guide you, let your wallet guide you, let whatever it would happen to be guide you. The main thing I want to tell everybody out there, to make sure that it's clear, is that if you play TaylorMade Q irons or Callaway Elite irons or Mizuno 925 hot metals, you're probably going to shoot the same scores with any one of those three, because they're the same golf club made by three different people. It's like comparing Lexus to Cadillac to Acura. Like, they're all premium, really nice vehicles. You're going to absolutely love them no matter what it is. And as long as you're comparing apples to apples, it's really, how many options do we really need? I think we're over-optioned. I had a guy that I sold clubs to yesterday from Tennessee, friend of a friend, and he went to a PJ Superstore and got fit down in Tennessee, and he was like, well, here's what they fit me for. They fit him for Callaway Elite X and Mizuno hot metals, I believe it was. And he's like, I don't really want to spend $1,100 or $1,000. I'd like to have something that's less expensive. And I said, well, we have Maverick irons. We have Wilson Staff Dynapower last year's irons. we have Cobra Dark Speeds on sale. And here's your options, dude. Like, which one of these would you like? And he was like, well, I'd really like the Callaway Mavericks. That's what I ended up selling them. He's like, they didn't even tell me that was an option. I was like, well, it's not an option at PGA Superstore. They're just selling you. He's like, they're just selling you the newest stuff because that's all they have in often cases. And I'm not picking on them. It's a lot of different stores don't want to sell last year's clubs for $599. They want to sell the new ones for $1,000 to $1,100 because if you're going to make 20% on a sale, would you rather make 20% of 600 or 20% of 1,000? The easy math would tell you that 20% of 600 is 120 and 20% of 1,000 is 200. So percent is percent, but you don't make percentages, you make money. So if you're going to make 20% on a sale, you'd much rather have a higher priced item sell. So that's how most box stores and most of our competitors work. We are willing to sell last year's. We thrive off of closeouts, off price, all that kind of thing. Overproduced clubs like Mavericks and Dark Speeds and some of these clubs we bought that are on a crazy sale. It's simply because the people that managed their inventory levels thought that COVID was going to go on forever and that trajectory that COVID was on was just going to keep on going, and that's not true or accurate. But they're probably non-golfers. They probably are just, I don't know, hopefully one of them, I get to meet one of these people that pushes the button and enters the inventory someday because I'd love to pick their brain. But I think it's some nerd that's behind a computer that doesn't know anything about this industry or the golf sport or how buyers' habits are. They must be, because the mistakes they make sometimes are just astronomical. And my brother and I and Steve, our GM, like we sit here and talk like, how in the world can you overproduce women's hybrids every single year? Like Wilson does and Cobra does and some of these other brands, Callaway does. Like every single year you make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more than what you should have. And I'm sure it sounds easy from the seat I sit in to just go, well, why keep doing this? When they're like, well, they have minimums they have to require from their foundries when they're buying the heads and all that stuff. So easy for me to say. In reality, it's probably not quite as easy, but the same mistake being made over and over and over every single year, it seems hard to keep. Like at some point in time, you should just run out and say, we're out. We're out. We don't have any more. That club sold out. I'm sorry. So it's amazing to me, though, how many companies keep on making the same mistakes. So how many options do we really need? The other thing about shafts, people ask me about shafts all the time. Well, what about this shaft versus that shaft and this and that? And like, how much can you change a 105-gram steel shaft? If it's Diamond Gold, if it's Modus, you just can't change it a whole ton, folks. It's 105 grams. It's steel. It's going to go where you hit it. You should get the flex right. But other than that, let's not worry too much about. And wedge shafts, people ask about wedge shafts all the time. Well, what about putting X100s in my wedges? Well, I don't think you can tell the difference. Maybe a really, really good player can. I know there's something for peace of mind, too, and putting your mind at ease. I get that. I understand how anxiety plays into the sport of golf. So, like, well, I want my shafts and my wedges to match my shafts and my irons. Okay, if that makes you sleep better, makes you feel better, go ahead. You swing one club at a time. Your 7-iron doesn't know your 8-iron. They sit next to each other in the bag, but they're inanimate objects. They don't know each other. So, my opinion is if it's working, let it be. And other than that, don't worry too much about it. I've talked, I think, on this podcast before about Ben Cook, who I got to play around to golf with, and I asked him what shafts are in his irons. He's like, I have no idea. I said, well, how far does this club go or that club go? And I asked him how far his hybrid went, and he said something like it goes 267. And I said, 267? He goes, yeah, that's my carry distance in my hybrid. I said, okay. He said, but if I want to hold it like this and do this, I hit it 253. I said, 253? And he, yeah, and astounding how good these guys are. So doesn't know what he's using, but knows exactly how far it goes. So I'd rather see that than the other. I'd rather see somebody who's really, really good and knows what it does than knows everything about their golf clubs and can't make the thing perform. And then here's one of my other ones. I had some notes on here. Well, I want to read the reviews on this golf club or this shaft before I purchase this. Like this past week, I had a whole bunch of people ask about Newton Shafts, which is this online marketing company, and I can tell you this, folks. A lot of reviews are written by AI. Looks like a human, sounds like a human. The guy's name is Ethan. I'll pick on him because he's sitting here. The guy's name is Ethan C. He didn't write it. What they do is they just have AI generate a review for a product that they want to display favorably, and all of a sudden it's got great reviews. Is it real? No. That's why I think AI is very, very dangerous. I've talked about that before. And my buddy that owns a different business at one point in time told me for a fact that he was hiring college kids at like $10 an hour to write reviews on his products. He owned a bunch of different brands, and he was hiring college kids to write different reviews and change the verbiage, put different things in there, but tell how much they loved it, even though they never even bought the thing. So my opinion about reviews is you got to be really careful of the source. If you're just reading reviews underneath a product, I'd say some of them are real, and I would be willing to bet at this point most of them are fake. And in the opposite direction, I know people, sales reps, that used to work for XYZ company. I'll just use brands for a minute. This isn't exactly what happened, but I'll use brands. The Callaway guy would write something negative about TaylorMade's products and leave a review that was fake, just to kind of submarine TaylorMade and kind of cut their legs out from underneath them. It seems a little bit like dirt, and I'm not saying Callaway did that. I'm just using those two brands. They're the two biggest competitors in golf. So, and then the Titleist guy would do this about this, and I'm just making up brands, but like that does exist in the world. There's such a thing as disgruntled employees. There's such a thing about overly competitive brands and sales reps that are mad at one another. They had a bad experience with a guy at a demo day or any of that kind of thing. So my opinion about reviews and all that stuff is go form your own opinion. Find a place to hit it. Find a demo to try. Do whatever it takes to actually form your own opinion. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Don't write anything off until you've actually had a chance to try it. And I talked about that a little bit in the past too. Like, how frustrating would it be? Let's just pick on Wilson for a minute. Let's say that Wilson makes the best driver there is. So if Wilson makes the best driver that there is, how many people aren't even going to try it because it's Wilson? I'd say the vast majority. I'd bet 75% of people won't even hit it because I don't want a Wilson driver. No, thank you. Well, sir, it's the best driver made. Don't care. I'll just buy the TaylorMade QI35 because Rory McIlroy plays it. Well, how frustrating would it be for Wilson to have a product that is superior and nobody was willing to try it because AI reviews, brand recognition, that kind of thing. So my opinion, and I tell this to people every day that I wait on, from that Facebook group that I'm in, Golf Club Traders, I say, form your own opinion and be open-minded. The more open-minded you are and the more you form your own opinion, the more likely you are to have good results. If you go into something, and my mom always said, if you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're probably right. Which means if you believe it or if you don't believe it, that's what you believe. And I've always stuck with that and thought about that. My mom is such a wonderful person and so open-minded and fair about things that if you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're probably right, which means you already have your mind made up. It's over with. So just give things a fair chance, folks. Go into it open-minded. Don't let your own biases, your own ego, your own anything get in the way of finding what works the best for you. If you go out and trial the irons and the Wilson Dynapower Max irons works better, use that. I had a guy the other day that was talking about clubs, and I've never even heard of that club. And I'm newer to golf, but I really like the way that the smaller head looks when I set it down. And I said, okay, that's fair. I personally like to see the lowest numbers written on the scorecard when the round is over. That's how I like to judge golf clubs. So I'll use a pink left-handed ladies, the most flexible thing in the world. I don't care what it is. I'll sell my masculinity for a 74. I don't care what the golf club looks like, anything like that. I have no pride left. I have 2 kids. I'm 46 years old. It's over for me. As far as having an ego and trying to work around all that, I don't care about that. So I'll just literally use whatever I think is the best or whatever works the best. Or I'll listen to my fitters quite a bit too, because they're getting real, truthful, on the ground, boots on the ground, in the trenches feedback from customers. Like, hey, this club, there seems to be really something to it. and it's really working well, and it's selling well and performing well, and people really seem to like this. I'll listen to that. That's real life feedback. So, I'll leave that at that. That's my opinion and words of wisdom on how many options do we really need, and reviews and all those kind of things. The next thing is explain lofts of drivers. So this is a tough one. This might be heartbreaking for people to hear, but not every 10-degree driver is 10 degrees. When they're manufacturing these golf clubs, if you saw how the actual manufacturing process is, you'd fall over. It's not as precise as people may think it is. So we've bought before tour issue heads, which is every head is measured for loft, and it literally has the loft written on it to the 0.1 degree. So if the head says 9, it might be 9.3 or 9.7 or whatever. They do this for the pros, so when they're measuring the golf club, they know exactly what it is, and they might need a 9.7 versus a 9.3. Might be 3 more yards for them. For 99.9% of people listening to this podcast, 9.3 or 9.7, you're going to hit it the same. Your swing's too inconsistent. I'm sorry to break your heart. That's the truth. So loft of a driver, and I would even say loft of a hybrid, all these different things is mildly irrelevant. And you're going to say, well, what do you mean, Bob? How can loft of a driver be mildly irrelevant? There's so many more things that go into it. You can have 9-degree drivers that you can barely get airborne because of the center of gravity or the shaft. And you could have 9-degree drivers that you can balloon into the sky because of the center of gravity in the shaft. So I've always played a 10-degree. I've always this, I've always that. That's one of the first things I look at. Well, everything's changed, so why haven't you? Nothing stays the same, so keep up with it. So lofts of drivers. I can tell you this, folks, for a fact. You want your launch angle, not loft. Talking about a different thing now, but one just correlated to the other. Your launch angle between 10 and 14 degrees, depending on what your speed is and what your spin is, and that's for everyone. You don't want to really launch it underneath 10 degrees. Maybe if you live in Texas and you're in windy conditions, you might want to be at 9 or 10 if your spin and your speed are correct. Other than that, you want that launch window between 10 and 14 degrees, and then you need to maximize your launch based upon spin and speed. So the loft of the driver and what loft should I play and all these different things, you need to hit that window. You need to maximize, optimize. I like the word optimize. What's your launch angle with your spin rate and your ball speed? That if you get those 3 numbers perfect, you can't do any better. Like you can try to just increase speed at that point in time, which is lots of different ways to do that. More flexible shaft, lighter weight. Sometimes it's heavier. I think 75% of people swing lighter clubs faster, 25% of people swing heavier clubs faster. So, and that's relevant, of course. So that being said, that's a lot about lofts of drivers, but that also goes to everything. Like how your 7-iron, what's the loft? Well, a blade 7-iron is going to hit it lower than a cavity back or a deep center gravity 7-iron because the center of gravity is different. It's going to launch it differently. One other fun thing I want to talk about real quick. This isn't from the mailbag or the maple spill, but this movie's coming out. I personally am super, super excited. Happy Gilmore 2. Yeah, it comes out on July 25th, which I'm going to be in Germany, but super excited. I'm going over with my son on a trip. So I'm excited to be on my trip, but I'm also very excited for this. So my son and I were like, maybe we'll watch it some night on our phone, as long as, I don't know how Netflix and all that works when you're in a different country. I'll find out, I guess. But Callaway is doing these 2 limited edition golf balls. This one's it's all in the hips and his hockey jersey on it. This one says just tap it in, but they're the Chrome Tour golf ball, which is easily one of the best golf balls made. And I think this movie, I'll talk about this movie on the podcast at some point in time because I think it's going to have redeeming qualities to it. It's got a lot of the pros in it. If you've watched the trailers for it, I think it was brilliantly done. I trust Adam Sandler to make sure that this was done right. He's such a wonderful human being, first and foremost, and second off, a brilliant writer and comic. And I don't think he would have done it if it wasn't really, really good. So, Happy Gilmore 2. These are in store now. We have these. and then they will be soon. Probably by the time you're watching this or hearing this, we have them. They won't last super long because it's a limited edition. Yeah, and they're doing a hockey stick putter again. So Odyssey did one years ago, and they're doing one again. So we got 6 of them. I think as of right now, 2 of them are sold. But the Happy Gilmore putter is coming, and then the golf balls. So enough about that. We'll move on to the mailbag question. This is one from our Spotify podcast. The person didn't leave their name, but they left a nice comment. They said, excited for the pod, which thank you very much for listening or watching or whatever you are. I appreciate all of you, each and every one of you. Here's the question. Should courses do something about pace of play? Kids and girlfriends hit it sideways for 8 shots. Should newer people play a specific 9 and other 9, those 15 handicap and below? I think this was written by a male. Because I can tell you that it says kids and girlfriends hit it sideways. I've also seen kids and boyfriends hit it sideways too. So 8 shots. Should the newer people play a specific 9, others? So if you happen to have, this is a really good question. If you happen to have 3 9s like Scott Lake does or 5 9s like Saskatoon does, maybe it's not a bad idea to just put chops out there and let them take as long as they want and just say, hey, this is like play at your own pace. We don't expect to be done in less than 2.5 hours. But if you really suck and you're just getting into it and you want to go out and play, everybody's playing the blue 9 today or the North 9 or whatever Scott Lake calls it. Not a bad idea. I don't totally hate that. I think it's more about the golf course and putting a little bit of the ownership of the pace of play on the golf course because what they should do is say, your job today is to have fun. I want you to have fun because that's what you paid money for. Number 2, your second job, which is equally as important as having fun, is keep up with the group in front of you. If you can't hit the ball forward and you're not advancing fast enough, throw it, drive it up there and drop it on the green and putt. Whatever it takes, you have to keep up with the group ahead of you because we want to ensure the fun of the group behind you. Everybody considers themselves first. A lot of people look forward. Very few people look backward. So I think it's on the etiquette of the golf course to explain your job is to keep up with the group ahead of you. And I just played golf on the 4th of July with a buddy of mine, and we were like 2.5 holes behind, and we were getting pushed by a group of ladies, and I was like, guys, we need to move a little bit fast today. They don't play golf nearly as much as I do. They're all golfers, but it was slow. I was somewhat surprised. I was mildly annoyed, but I don't get to see these guys very much, and they were fun. But they'd hit and talk about every shot, and I'm not saying they had bad etiquette because they know what they're doing, but like we were well behind the group ahead of us, and that to me was annoying and mildly embarrassing. And you got ladies pushing us. And the ladies were really cool. They said we play fast because they played a scramble too, which makes them move faster. And we were open golf, so they were part of an outing or something. So it's a little apples and oranges. But I was like, dude, we're 2 holes behind and we're on number 12. Like they're on the group ahead of us is on 14 green. Like we gotta move. So should courses do something about the pace of play? Yes, they should. They should inform the customers that if you can't keep up with the group ahead of you, we will get you to keep up with the group ahead of you. And they should have a starter/ranger that doesn't just drive around and wave at people, that actually enforces the rules of everyone needs to have fun. And a huge portion of the fun is not waiting forever out on the golf course. So keep it moving, keep up with the group ahead of you, and have fun. If you can't do both, then make sure you keep up with the group ahead of you. Or we'll have you skip a hole. You paid for 9, you got to play 8 tonight. I'm sorry. You had to skip hole 3 to catch back up with the group that's on 4. Now you're on number 4. I'm sorry, but that's what it needs to be. Because letting 4 groups play through you on 9 holes isn't a lot of fun either. That slows everything down. So the answer is, whoever asked this question, yes, I do think something should be done. I think that the burden of what should be done lies equally on the golf course and their rules as it does the person that's actually playing. The person that's actually playing, if they're new to golf and they're hitting 8 shots sideways and all the things you wrote, you don't know what you don't know. right? Nobody knows about etiquette and about pace of play and all these different things until you actually go out and play, and you're like, oh my God, I'm being annoying because like we're slowing up this group and we're way behind that group. So, but you don't know what you don't know, and that's how you learn, and that's how everybody learns. You got to start somewhere and learn something. So, do we just put them on the island like what you're talking about? Put them on their own 9 holes, like put them on the island of misfit toys, as I always like to say. I guess maybe, but I think we can do better than that. Just move it along. But that's how you learn. And then the maple spill going on right now, folks. It's wild. It goes through the 21st. Is that right? 20th, Sunday. So 17, 18, 19, 20 is the tent sale, garage sale. It's wild. Fridays 9 to 7, Saturdays 9 to 5, Sundays 10 to 4, and Thursdays 11 to 7 in a reverse order. So Thursday 11 to 7, Friday 9 to 7, Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 10 to 4, underneath the tent and in store. Basically the whole store's on sale, and then we picked a whole bunch of select items that are on an even further sale, a super discount. Clearing out stuff for the end of the season. Giving people one last hurrah. Like, we've still got a lot of good golf out of us. August and September are just great months to play the sport. It's really nice, and it's less busy and not quite as hot, and just beautiful, beautiful months to play. So the maple spill is that the garage sale pricing is going on now, and come on out and check out this tent sale. Oh, and we've got a giveaway with the Bridgestone irons, right? We're giving away a $1,500 set of Bridgestone irons, and yeah, you got the giveaway sheet right there. Yeah. And then second prize is a year supply of Bridgestone Tour B golf balls, which you get 4 dozen. And then third prize, we're giving away 5 free launch kitchen driver or iron fittings. So that's pretty sweet too. That's $100 and something bucks. So 3 different things you can scan to win. When you come in the store, just scan the QR code, put your information in there, and away you go. So,
you can enter on our website too.
And you can enter on the website as well. Thank you, Caitlin, for that. So that's all I have for this podcast. New episodes drop every other week. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. I've been sending these out to friends that need to listen to them. People ask me about zero torque putters or different things that Jesse and I talked about or whatever. I try to take those podcasts and literally send it to people and say, listen to this. This will give you a lot of information in the next 20 minutes that some of it pertains, some of it doesn't. But I've been having a lot of fun doing this, folks. I do appreciate all the listeners we're getting out there. If you can share this with your friends and say, hey, did you know Maple Hill's doing a podcast? And Bob's doing it. And then soon enough, I'll have one of our other fitters. I think Richard's coming on next episode. I'm really excited for that. Richard's been with us back and forth a couple of times. And he's a tremendous employee and a tremendous person and really fun. So that's coming on the next podcast, a little sneak peek of what's going on there. And I'm looking forward to that. So happy July, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the 4th. I hope you're enjoying the Open. Hopefully get to see you out here at the garage sale / tent sale. It's really underneath the tent now, but it's in the garage, I guess. Lots of stuff happening here at the Hill. So happy to host this, and thank you once again for listening. We'll see you again soon.